few things that are unique about leatherback turtles. They are huge animals. They engage in these incredible migrations across the Pacific Ocean. These animals are able to maintain a body temperature greater than their environment, which is very unique for a reptile. And they do this all on a diet of jellyfish. Truly a magnificent animal, and I think one of the reasons why it doesn't receive more attention is because it's not an animal that's easily seen. Essentially, hatchlings leave the beach and they're about that big, and when the people see them again at the nesting beach, they are animals that weigh 1,300 pounds and almost 6 feet long. We're here off the central coast of California between Half Moon Bay and San Francisco to learn more about movements of these animals. They're a very cryptic species. They lie very close to the water, not very much is exposed. We're most able to be effective with the help of an aerial team. And they essentially spot the animals for us and direct us to them. When we get on a turtle, it's a pretty exciting couple minutes. After the net is put on it, we have it alongside the boat where we secure it with some additional ropes. And this boat is a very unique vessel, like a small landing craft. We have a lot of nice PVC plating, rubber siding on here to keep the animal protected from hurting itself.
Good, that's good.
We put a transmitter on some of them to track their movements across not just the Pacific, but look in finer detail to help inform our fisheries about where these animals might be relative to different environmental conditions and what kind of depths it might be diving to. We also sample them remotely with a camera that's attached with suction cups. And what this allows us to do is to look at the type of jellies that they're eating. Likewise, those camera devices will also carry a small time depth recorder so we can look at what depth they're actually taking these jellies. One of the things we've learned about this population is that it's actually a meta-population. So some of the population is using foraging grounds over in the South China Sea, others in the North Pacific. Still others migrate off of Australia, New Zealand, as well as those that come all the way across the Pacific here to California. Yet they're all part of the same population, and so we have this incredible connectivity. But in the Pacific Ocean, leatherback turtles are in really dire straits. The population is declining at about 6% a year. Really, to recover leatherback turtles, we have to be able to provide protection in these other foraging areas as well as what happens here in California. All these people around the Pacific Ocean have a role to play. If we do want to have leatherback turtles with us 40 years from now, it can be turned around, but everybody has to play their role in it to have recovery.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Paleontologizing. I should speak into the mic, huh? I'm here with leatherback turtle expert Scott Benson today, who's very kindly joined us, and this is going to be a really fun stream, so I'm so glad you're here. Let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. And I've recently gotten into leatherback turtles, and that is the domain of Scott Benson here. Scott, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure, I'm Scott Benson. I recently retired with NOAA Fisheries, where I led research and monitoring efforts of leatherback turtles on the West Coast, and that also took me across the whole Pacific Ocean, where we were learning to find the origin of animals from California. I'm now working kind of on project-by-project basis with a local NGO here in Monterey, Upwell, and we are still maintaining our monitoring conservation efforts here in California.
Very cool, yeah. At first, I think I want to talk a little bit about why leatherback turtles are so special. This will probably be something we repeat a few times during this broadcast as people trickle in and out. But, well, here. What is a leatherback turtle, and why is it a unique animal? That's a 3D print that I did,
That's
too.
Nice. That's very nice. It's pretty good, too. flippers could probably be front flippers could be a little longer, maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got. I mean, that's where all the power comes. That's where the motor is. But
Yeah,
the leatherback is unique. It's the only one that's got a soft shell.
Right.
So the other animals, the hard shell turtles, green turtles, loggerheads, and things like that, got a hard shell.
All these guys on
And
here.
this is actually covered with skin. So if you scratch it with your fingernail, it'll actually bleed.
Shoot.
But what that does, though, is it allows this animal to dive to incredible depths. Like, we've had our transmitters peg out at 1,000 meters. That was as far as those things were able to measure. So at least that far. And and what that does is that'll compress this entire creature due to the effects of pressure. It's a large turtle. It's the largest of the sea turtles.
Right.
Second largest reptile, just second to saltwater crocodile.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's replete with superlatives, right?
I mean, it's just an absolutely superlative animal. It's got so many world records.
It is. It's incredible.
Why I think it's so fascinating. Yeah.
This animal has been around on the planet for nearly 80 million years.
Yeah,
It goes back to times when dinosaurs were still with us.
Yep.
It survived meteor strikes and climate changes and ice ages, and is still with us. It engages in these incredible migrations.
Astonishing.
I mean, from the origin of the population we have here in California is the Solomon Islands in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia.
Right.
Those are the largest nesting beaches, and some of those animals then engage in this migration all the way across the Pacific Ocean. So, like I say, very large animal. We've caught some on our boat that weighed over 1,600 pounds. Just an incredible animal that's able to, and the reason it's been around so long is that it's got all kinds of tricks.
Right. Survival strategies.
So,
yes.
It'll change its diving behavior depending on if it's cold water or warm water.
Right.
So like I said, it can get down very deep, but lots of times when it's eating, it's staying up in the upper 20 meters of the water column. But yeah, their dive profile changes because in some places they have to stay warm.
Right.
Like say out here, it's cold water, so staying warm is kind of a challenge, but they can create their own metabolic heat just through their activity.
Right, yeah.
Which is very unusual for a turtle.
It really is.
I mean, the other ones are all your classic cold-blooded reptiles. This one is actually can maintain a body temperature warmer than its environment, which is incredible.
Right.
But in the tropics, they're
at risk of overheating. Right?
Overheating is a problem. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so they got to get down to depth more and stay down there more to get to the colder water just to keep themselves cooled off. Right. And they go back to their beaches every 3 to 5 years to lay eggs. At least the females do. Right. And then again after they're finished, once again embark on one of these crazy long migrations.
Just one of the most incredible phenomena in nature is this. It's an air-breathing animal that's going all the way across the Pacific Basin. Yeah. It's got to come up for air. Like you said in one of your talks, it's not like a whale shark or something like that where it can breathe underwater. It's got to come up for air all the time, and it's not flying, so it's not like a low resistance activity. It's swimming the entire way.
Yeah, it's pushing water across the Pacific. They are very efficient swimmers.
Right, yeah.
But it is, think when you see them at the surface, it doesn't look very efficient. It looks like it's coming up for I got to get some air.
Yeah.
But if you ever see them actually swimming underwater, then you can really appreciate the majesty of this, marine animal.
Right, and I've got that video here too. Hopefully that's not too distracting for the folks at home. But I put together this reel of leatherback swimming, just so that anytime anybody trickles in here, they know immediately what we're talking about. And you just watch these animals flap those. Do you call them pectoral fins or flippers?
I just call them flippers.
Flippers,
yeah.
That's their primary means of propulsion, really their only means of propulsion.
Yes.
So the back flippers are just almost like elevators on an aircraft, for steering?
They're using for steering. Of course, they're very helpful when you're digging a nest.
Right, yeah.
It's incredible. Have you ever seen a leatherback make a nest?
It's wild. It looks like something out of Jim Henson's Creature Workshop or something like that. Like the way that they scoop the sand with their hind flippers like that. It looks like a person sticking their hand into some sort of big oven mitt or something, and then scooping the sand. It's just utterly bizarre.
It is a very choreographed event
Right.
with these flippers like that, and we've learned that no matter how many letters you have after your name, nobody can dig a nest
Right.
well as good
Yeah.
well as a turtle can.
Which is
Leatherback
crazy
can.
because they can't see what they're doing either.
Exactly.
They're doing everything by touch, you
Right,
know?
right.
They can't look over their shoulder and see what their hind flippers are doing. It's just astonishing that they do all this by instinct.
Yes.
But it kind of makes sense when you think about they've been doing this for, 80 plus million years. Like, clearly they're doing something right, and there's so much, there's so much history of natural selection there, ensuring that this critical step has to be reached every single time in order to have a new generation. It's just an astonishing animal.
Yeah, it really is, and so I feel very fortunate to have had a career that involved this creature.
Yeah. So, before we get into that, Scott, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? How did you first, get interested in nature to start with?
Well, I grew up in Southern California, near the ocean,
Okay.
close by, within a few miles.
Yeah.
Was always interested in ocean animals and ocean things. I was a state lifeguard at the beaches for a
cool.
long time, and
Yeah.
did a lot of activities, a lot of water sports. But I mean, I didn't pick this necessarily.
Really?
I started out after I got out of college writing tuna seiners as a tuna dolphin observer.
Okay.
And I went to sea for a long time, as long as it took to fill the boat up with fish. So,
Right, yeah.
Be at sea for 80, 90 days without getting back to land.
So you're stationed there in order to oversee the operation and make
Yeah,
sure they're not catching too many dolphins?
They were catching dolphins on purpose to catch
Okay.
the tuna. It was a tuna dolphin fishery, and they historically had a lot of dead dolphins in the past when people were just learning about it.
Yeah.
But the fishery itself developed new techniques and so forth to reduce the kill of dolphins. And to do that, you had to get a permit to do this kind of fishing and have an observer on board. So I did that for a while, and then eventually got into doing the work on the research vessels that NOAA had.
Gotcha.
To count all the dolphins and whales and birds and turtles and things like that. And I enjoyed that. They sent me around the world doing those things. It was really quite amazing. So I spent a lot of time at sea.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, and then I got out eventually and got bored with that, and went to graduate school and did my work right here in Monterey Bay on marine birds and mammals.
Okay.
Not turtles still.
Right, yeah.
And how they respond, how they interact with the ecosystem here, and how the ecosystem, the variability of the ecosystem changes the assemblage of animals and how they behave here. And after I finished, I was approached by Dr. Dutton about potentially using that knowledge on leatherback turtles.
Okay, yeah.
And
Peter Dutton, right?
Peter Dutton,
Yeah,
Peter Dutton. And my wife advocated for me that I knew a lot about this area of California. And when he presented this opportunity to me, I wasn't certain about it because all those years at sea I had spent, I'd maybe seen a leatherback turtle half a dozen times. So I kind of thought, like, really? This is, we could do make a program out of this? And sure enough, over time, with the aerial surveys we were doing and things, we learned how to find them here in California in a reliable way to establish a program. Which at that point was, we have leatherback turtles here in Central California.
Right.
We're not really sure where they're coming from. The predominant thought at that time was that they were coming from Mexico, Costa Rica, because that's relatively close by.
That makes sense.
People have been down there and so forth.
Yeah.
But Peter had, at that point, got some skin samples that were suggesting maybe they were coming from elsewhere, maybe the Western Pacific even. So the first transmitters we put on leatherbacks was in 2000.
Okay. And
And they headed towards that direction, towards the Western Pacific.
so just all the way past Hawaii, all the way out down to Solomon Islands.
Well, they
Eritrea.
went past Hawaii, and then the transmitters didn't go long enough to actually find out precisely where over there.
That's crazy that it's such a long voyage. The transmitter's just...
Right, or the attachment failed.
Sure, yeah.
But it's
yeah.
a long way. So we started going over there in 2001. I went to Papua New Guinea.
Right, okay.
And there was a population that nests there during December and January. And we put some transmitters on post-nesting females. And they went down to New Zealand and Australia.
Huh.
And I thought, oh, well, maybe, because in science, sometimes, you do something and you get a result and you want to, like, confirm that.
Sure, it might be a fluke or
Maybe
something
it was
like that. Like, who knows?
So did it again in a couple years and got the same result, that they were going down to Australia and New Zealand. So
Interesting.
we don't have a connection to California yet.
Uh-huh.
But later in 2003, in the summertime, I went to a different place in Indonesia,
Uh-huh.
and then we found the connection to North America. So
Interesting.
it turns out this is a meta-population
Right.
that nests in multiple places around the Western Pacific. You mentioned Solomon Islands,
Uh-huh.
and Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, which is Papua Barat, Indonesia, which is same island of New Guinea, just the Indonesian
Right, the
side
other
of
side
it.
of it, yeah. Yeah.
And then they're all united by their mitochondrial DNA,
Uh-huh.
but then post-nesting, they use multiple foraging areas all around the Pacific. And so if you're a winter hatchling or a winter, turtle, meaning you're nesting during the winter time,
Okay.
I'm saying winter is, December and January, those months.
Okay, boreal winter, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're likely to go down, post-nesting, down to the southern oceans.
Okay. Southern Ocean's near, like, New Zealand?
New
that area?
Zealand, Australia. Some of them do a little thing going right around the corner into some of the Indonesian seas.
Right.
But generally, they stay south of the equator.
Uh-huh.
The summertime animals that are nesting during the summer, or hatchlings that are coming off the beach in summer, and this is going to be like, June, July.
Yeah.
They're going to move into the northern hemisphere.
Huh.
So the South China Sea, north coast of North America, the North Pacific transition zone out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So all this is happening because of what happened when they were hatchlings at the beginning.
Okay.
And so there is a current, a nearshore current along the coast of New Guinea called the New Guinea Coastal Current.
Right, yeah.
And it changes direction
Depending on the season?
depending on the monsoon season.
Okay.
So the monsoon is what really kind of runs the show.
Okay.
And it'll change those current patterns along the coast, and so hatchlings will get evicted south or north depending on the time of the year.
Wild. Okay, so interesting. So it's not a separate population where they're reproductively isolated. You have different turtle hatchlings going in different directions just based on the time of year and what the currents are doing.
That's right, because when they're hatchlings, they're not really super strong swimmers, so
Right.
they're going to get moved around a little bit by the currents.
Yeah.
And as you said, there is some chance for mixing those two seasons, just if you can imagine two normal distribution curves and the tails overlapping.
Right, yeah.
That kind of thing. So, yeah, it's really very interesting population in that way, and it's this bimodal nesting behavior, which is very unique.
Yeah,
you don't see this in other populations around the world, other leatherback populations that have using the same beach, but
different times
two times a year.
Right, yeah. Interesting. Wow. Now, do you get adult turtles that'll kind of switch between different populations or anything like that? Like
we haven't seen that, like a summer nester suddenly becoming a winter nester.
Right, yeah.
No, we haven't seen that, but there are folks working on the beaches there to monitor the population and so forth.
Right.
It kind of has a history of, on and off a little bit over the years, but they haven't looked into those kind of things yet, although they are putting small pit tags on the animals so they can identify individuals. I imagine if anything like that ever happened, we'd hear about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So when you talk about tracking these animals, you mentioned pit tags. What are some other ways that we can track them?
Okay, so we use pit tags, which are subdermal little tags to
Kind of
identify.
like you put on your dog or cat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We use, I mentioned satellite telemetry. That's
with like a transmitter that's actually stuck to the top of the carapace, right?
That's right.
Right there on the top.
Yeah, we just attach it right here to the top of the carapace, put it in a place where it's not likely to disturb the hydrodynamic, capacity of the animal.
Right.
And other ways we can track things is like with stable isotopes. So this is something where you can look at or ask questions about the diet of an animal.
Right.
And there are isotopic signatures throughout the ocean. So you can actually, at least you can't maybe pinpoint exactly a spot.
Sure.
But you can definitely say this animal was foraging in this region.
Right.
So there's another way of using chemistry in this case to track an animal, although it's not the kind of tracking you expect you'd see with a satellite transmitter or something like that.
Right.
So those are ways, other ways to kind of track, if you will, or figure out where you've been. We did an experiment once where, again, getting back to this metapopulation, where I asked the question, well, okay, so there's these different places they're going. Let's just say within the summer, an animal could go to the North American coast, the South China Sea, or the North Pacific Transition. Well, there's still 3 different places that they're spreading.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask the question that, all right, would this animal go back to the same place it went last time? Like, does it always go to California, or does it go to South China Sea sometimes? And we use stable isotope to look at that. The question was, where were you before you got on the beach? Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Put the transmitter on it. Where are you going to go this time?
In the future, yeah.
And 12 out of 13 went to the same place that they were predicted to go based on stable isotopes. So that indicates some fidelity to the foraging area.
Right.
And here in California, we've had at least 3 instances where we've caught the same individual animal multiple years apart. So like most recently, I think we caught Bumpy in 2016 and saw him again in 2021. In the same place. It's remarkable.
Just like
I mean,
wow.
Within a few miles of where we caught him in 2016.
Do you think he recognized you?
Yeah. We recognized him. But I don't know. I have no idea. Although it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me put it that. One thing for sure I've learned about leatherbacks, and said working with mammals and things like that in the past, is I kind of thought about reptiles and like, well, personality of a snake or something, and
it's that mammal chauvinism. I'm a dinosaur guy, so I'm like, of course reptiles can be personable and
And so I learned too that wow, some of them, they had different personalities.
Yeah.
And some of them were easy to work with, some were difficult to work with. Some of them, particularly the ones that were particularly fighting a lot or struggling with us, boy, they really moved in the water. They really went fast. So that carried it through all the time.
Yeah. Huh. Well, when you say difficult to work with, you mean fighting? Like, what are they doing?
Struggling. Yeah. Struggling. It's a wrestling match. So fortunately, they don't bite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that would be terrible.
I mean, you look at those tomial teeth right there on the beak. They're pretty impressive. Yeah.
Absolutely. So unlike now the loggerheads and green turtles, they will bite. I've seen them snap a wooden dowel, for instance. These don't do that, but they're just so big.
Yeah.
And they can feel with their flippers the tiniest little crease in the deck,
right? And
use it as leverage. Use it as leverage. So I've learned over the years, it's like, don't take the net all the way off the front flippers until you're ready to let it go.
Right.
I learned that the hard way.
Because they'll climb over the side.
Or they'll find
a way to.
They'll overpower you. I mean, they're going to overpower 5 people.
Right. It's an animal that weighs like 1,500 pounds.
Absolutely. That flipper can actually lift you off the deck of the boat.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's just kind of trying to restrain the animal. We're not using drugs to restrain them. We've got the boat set up with, foam shields and padding all the way around to keep it from hurting itself. And then we try to get our work done in under an hour.
So not to stress them out too much.
We want to get him back in the water as quick as we can. We're taking blood samples for health assessments, and I mentioned tissue samples for genetics and stable isotope. Putting this transmitter on there as well, and then hopefully get that done within an hour, so we can let it go. But it's just a lot of huffing and puffing and a lot of sweating.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember you saying at one point in one of your talks that sometimes they're so well fed when they're on the deck of the boat that they kind of roll around. So like the plastron underneath is convex rather than concave, and what is that like? Trying to 1,500-pound animal that's wobbling around like an egg.
Yeah, well, if you got to have somebody babysitting it all the time, because if you walk away and it's like, okay, we got to get some of our equipment and bring it back out here, and the boat starts rocking a little bit with one of those particularly plump ones, they'll start doing things like almost like they're trying to knock the boat over, they're trying to make more momentum for the boat to go, further rocking back and forth and flipping around. So you got to have somebody at least be on there to restrain the flippers.
Right.
But you're right. The body condition on these things is highly variable. So
right.
when they leave the nesting beach, the females, they're really been working hard.
Yeah.
Let's say, a female is going to be responsible for creating anywhere from 4 to 12 clutches of eggs during a season. And each clutch 9 days apart.
Okay.
So that's a long time. And of course, turtle out of water, in this case, is crawling up these beaches with this giant body.
Really exerting herself.
And really working hard to do this stuff. And they get back in the water afterwards. They go down to the cold water to cool off.
Yeah,
but then
when they're on the beach, they're all flushed. I mean, you see that like pink all around their neck and their head. That's like from physical exertion, right?
That is offloading heat.
Right.
That's what it is. It's offloading heat. You're getting super hot.
Right.
And they want to get this over with and get down and get cooled off.
Yeah.
But over a course of several months, then, if you do this every 9 days, you can notice that the body condition starts to deteriorate a little bit.
So that deflate?
Yeah, it kind of deflates, and so these ridges and stuff will become very prominent.
Interesting.
Very easy to see. Whereas on the foraging ground here, a particularly successful animal, all that stuff between these ridges just fills in.
Okay.
And as a consequence, these ridges look much more depressed.
Interesting.
They're lower.
Okay.
You also see a lot more fat develop around the neck and the shoulders here. All that just gets really big on the foraging ground.
Sure.
So this is part of their gig, right? I mean, they go long periods of times without eating.
Right.
Fortunately, though, they've got such much mass that they can afford to do this stuff, and they're depleted after they leave, but then they go back out and get pumped up again.
Right. Yeah. So when you talk about foraging grounds and you talk about them bulking up, for the benefit of the audience, what are they eating? Because this is one of the most remarkable things about them, I think.
They do all this crazy stuff, get to this giant size, do these incredible migrations on a diet of cold jellies.
Nuts. I mean, I remember, I forget which book it was, but it's a turtle zoologist, and they were talking about how, leatherbacks subsisting almost entirely on jellies and other soft-bodied invertebrates. It's kind of like, seeing a huge human bodybuilder, and you ask him what his diet is, and he goes, I just eat cucumbers. That's it.
Celery.
Exactly, yeah. Just some of the least nutritious things you can think of.
Yes.
Mostly water. And they're able to attain these huge sizes. Like, how much are they eating? It's got to be a huge quantity.
Incredible amount. So this is part of the thing. The foraging grounds that they use all have some physical characteristics that are favorable for aggregating gelatinous zooplankton, jellies and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they'll eat, depending on the species of jelly, half to 3/4 their weight in jellies every day. So here in California, we happen to have a huge. Well, it's variable. Some years it's better than others.
Yeah.
But lots of jellies, particularly the ones here that the turtles are after are the sea nettles.
Right, Chrysora.
Chrysora fuscescens, yes.
Okay.
The brown sea nettle. And it turns out the brown sea nettle is one of the more calorically rich options you can get compared to moon jelly. And then the turtles themselves are very clever about how they take these. So a small sea nettle, about that size, they'll just take the whole thing down in one suck. And then actually we saw the mouth and so forth, and so that
Here, you can hold that if you like.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, this hook is nice for piercing a jelly to keep it, maintain it, not let it get away.
Yeah.
But underneath here, in the throat, it's actually like a gular sac.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, I've had some animals we were necropsy that were dead stranded on the beach. And I was able to pull this thing one time, and I could hear the when I did
the suction?
The suction.
Right. Okay.
So it's actually, and I can see this on video too occasionally, where it's all of a sudden it just scooped in.
So they're doing suction feeding, almost like a beaked whale or something.
Kind of like that, but only on these small jellies.
Interesting.
On the bigger jellies, once they get to be like this,
you have to take bites out of them?
They got to take bites out of them. And what they do is they will hold the bell, but they don't eat the bell. Bell's like the wrapper.
Yeah.
They are eating all the stuff underneath the bell, which is the manubrium and the gonads and the arms. And it turns out that's the most caloric-rich part of the jelly.
Interesting.
So it's a larger jelly. They're handling it. They're handling that bell, but they will scour everything else out underneath and leave the bell just kind of like a burrito wrapper or something like that.
Do you ever use that to track them? Just like a trail of
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
We kind of look at it as a calling card or something like,
Leatherback was here. Yeah.
Leatherback was here. There's a jelly with like a half moon bite out of the bell, but nothing else underneath it.
Interesting. So even with the protein-rich parts that you were talking about, how much nutrition do you think they're actually garnering from eating the prey of these big jellies as well? Like, if there's fish or something inside that are being digested, do those show up inside of leatherback guts when they've been...
I would imagine they would, because some of the commensals that you're talking about in this case are going to be like there's a Medusa fish, for example, that might be underneath. Now, that thing might scoot away.
Yeah.
But in other jellies that I've collected over the years, often there are little crabs on them. I mean, they're not going to... Those aren't going to get off. They're going to be consumed. So there are going to be some commensal species on that jelly that will be consumed. And, I have not looked at that, in terms of diet analysis to look at how much of that stuff is in there. I don't think it would be very much.
Gotcha.
But it would be something hard.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah. Because as somebody who's kind of new to the whole leatherback thing as of this year, I've been reading a lot of, popular books on them and that kind of thing, and they'll list the diets, like, sea jellies, salps, fishes, urchins, other things like that, and I kind of wonder how well documented that really is, or if it's just one of those things that just keeps getting repeated by these books that just copy one another over time,
Well, that's a good question, and, certainly when you look at the gut context of a leatherback, like say at a necropsy or something like that, it's mostly a bunch of goo in there, and trying to identify anything is very difficult. Now, nowadays with using DNA, though, you could potentially, it'd be probably worth going through, gut contents of a leatherback, if you had the resources, funding to do the study, and then use DNA to look at what kind of things were actually in there, because otherwise it just looks like a bunch of goo. It's hard to identify anything in there.
Right, yeah. So I'm going to work on something here as you answer this question. I got to make sure that one of our things is working. But that's not the only way that you can study what these animals are eating, right? You've also used cameras to do that too.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So we out here don't have a lot of leatherbacks all the time, so we came up with an idea. Jim Harvey at Moss Landing Marine Labs came up with an idea to put a suction cup on a turtle so that we could just mark it. If we had a particularly good day, there was like 3 or 4 of them around. Okay, let's mark this one. We'll catch it later in the day. And it had a VHF transmitter and a small time depth recorder on it. And then we took that design was taken to add a GoPro camera to it, and first was a lipstick camera, to again put on the carapace of the turtle with suction cups, so it's not going to be on for a super long time. If we can get a couple hours out of it, we're happy. And then you're looking at it from the perspective of the turtle now, looking at the prey.
Right. And
that is how we know that they're only taking the underneath of the jelly. This is how we know they're sucking in the whole jelly if it's a small jelly, and why we know that they're primarily focused on sea nettles here.
Right.
There's been other things floating around in the water that we've seen through these video cameras, but they don't seem to go after them. They're very focused on sea nettles. Now, that's the situation here.
Right.
We haven't been able to put cameras on them out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and be able to retrieve that. That might be interesting if that could be done.
Right.
It would certainly be a issue about energy in terms of having enough power to power the thing for a long time, and then also transmission to video data is like really memory intensive stuff.
And expensive. I know that. It's a chipster. Holy cow. Yeah.
And shooting that up to a satellite might be kind of difficult to do.
Interesting. Well, I wonder if there's anybody watching right now who's in the tech world, audio, video, that kind of thing, who might want to help solve this problem in the future. we can certainly use the help.
Oh yeah, because I mean, we know there's gelatinous organisms offshore,
Right, yeah,
even if you go 30 or 40 miles offshore from here, but I can't tell you which one it's eaten.
Right.
And I don't think they're sea nettles, because what I know about sea nettles, they are coastal.
Right.
So,
okay. So they're not occurring way out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
They can get infected out there from time to time.
But that's not where they're breeding. That's
No.
not where they have big population centers. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. How do you think leatherbacks are finding these in the first place? Because I mean, I look at that skull and I see the huge orbits there, the big eye sockets. How good is their vision and how good is their sense of smell?
Well, let me just say the smell first. I don't know a lot about this, but I've been told that turtles in general have a very good sense of smell.
Right.
Even to the point one time I was watching a video at a conference. This is when I first got started with turtles, and again, I didn't study turtles as my idea. And we were watching this video footage of I think it was a green turtle coming up to like a plastic bag or something. So they won't eat it. So why? Because it doesn't smell right. Really? And she was right. On that one, it did not eat the plastic bag.
All right.
So when you look inside, if you look inside of the nostril area of a leatherback, there's a lot of looks like catacombs and things like that
Almost
in there.
like nasal turbinates.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they should have they probably have a very good sense of smell. Sight, we can see them when they're foraging. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll dive into the top of the thermocline and then come out and almost look like at that point they're after the jellies, and they're essentially silhouetting them against the sun.
Right.
So you can see this kind of this figure, the silhouette figure, which is the jelly, and then the turtle coming at it that way. So certainly they're visual predator. Absolutely right.
Interesting.
On the beaches at night, I don't get the impression they're particularly acute with their vision.
Sure. Yeah.
But they are visual predators in that regard. So to the extent that answers the question, I couldn't tell you exactly how acute that is, but certainly they're using vision to find their prey. And the smell, who knows? I mean, that might be something that's useful to kind of pinpoint an area. So if you're coming across the whole ocean, I would imagine as you get closer to the continent, it has a different
I would
smell.
imagine, yeah.
I mean,
So you think they're using smell to navigate potentially?
They might
in addition to maybe
navigate just kind of like that last little bit might be helpful. Scent might be helping them at that last part. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about their. Well, let's see. How are we doing on time? We've got about an hour left, I think. So maybe we'll get into our segment where we do the tier list. We take a look at some of these plastic leatherback models.
Sure.
And have you appraise these, if that would be
okay.
Cool. I can
Sure.
take that back.
Yeah.
So
That's
in
nice. Here, take this. Careful.
All good. Live broadcast, everybody. So I figured it would be fun to do a tier list in classic Twitch fashion, where we take a bunch of commercially available leatherback models. We have our leatherback experts appraise them on their accuracy and their charisma, and then we'll put them onto our tier list here. And I'll just hand this to you for a second. You can take a look at some of these right off the bat. I tried to track down as many different commercially available leatherback models as I could over the past couple months, and this is my haul so far.
Yeah, it's a pretty good haul.
It's not this is not the kind of turtle that you typically see as part of like a wildlife collection or something.
No, and that's really one of the challenges for conserving this animal, is that it's hard for people to really get passionate about something that they never see. I've met a lot of people who make their living on the water, whether fishermen or other folks that spend a lot of time at sea that never seen them either.
Right.
So I'm always interested to hear when one of the local whale watch folks out here finds a leatherback. It usually creates a bit of a buzz around the bay for a while,
right,
for about a week, that one was seen. But yeah, it'd be nice to be able to get more people to be able to see them.
Exactly.
Alive.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to a nesting beach, they're
all over the place. Yeah.
Well, at least some of them.
They used to be.
At some of the beaches, and that's definitely worth seeing. But here locally, it's hard to do that.
Have you done that, by the way? Have you been to a nesting beach?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. To put those transmitters
Right,
on,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And yeah, I've been
What is that like?
It's pretty neat. I mean, leatherbacks, you know, nest at some really beautiful places.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I've been to beaches in the Atlantic Ocean and, of course, in the Pacific Ocean. Some of the places, particularly in the Western Pacific, are very remote.
Right.
Very remote. There's no roads, no airports or anything else. You're getting around by small boats. The people who live there, they're subsistence cultures. So they're gardening and they're hunting. But they're not going to the store and things like that.
Yeah.
Tend to be fairly impoverished areas at that. But again, very beautiful places. Nice to be there for a few weeks, but it's not an easy place to hang out.
Sure,
so
yeah.
after a couple of weeks, I'm usually ready to.
Yeah.
A lot of bugs. I got malaria a couple times,
Oh,
and
boy.
so you know it's
Yeah.
it's not an easy place to go, but very beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
And anytime you ever have a chance to go to a nesting beach.
I'm hoping to this year. We'll see.
Yeah, I the one that I went to that was really had a lot of turtles at it was in Trinidad.
Right.
And
was it Matura Beach?
Matura
Yeah.
Beach, right? They had a lot there. And that was pretty exciting to see so many that they were like bumper cars.
Right.
You know, they were banging into each other and crawling over the top. They seemed like they had an attitude, you know, a lot of attitude going on.
Well, I mean, it's like a life or death thing.
It is.
You know, that's the next generation that you're providing for. It's I can see why.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So yeah, let's take a look at some of these. Maybe we'll start off with, I don't know, we'll let this be kind of our
standard?
Our standard, yeah. Even though you said the flippers could be a little bit longer.
Yeah, this isn't a bad one. The flippers could be maybe it's a tad longer.
This is from an artist on Colts 3D, which is like a clearinghouse for like 3D models.
But otherwise, this one is very good.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
definitely is top shelf.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So this one is not commercially available. You can buy the files online and print it like I did, but all of these were produced by manufacturers and, you know, presumably they were sculpted by hand by somebody. So we'll take a look at some of these and we'll use this as an opportunity to talk about leatherback turtle anatomy, and then we'll rank them on our tier list here from, let's see. I sent you that link earlier. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at this goofy thing, but S is the best. That's like superior tier.
Right, I glanced at this, yes.
Yeah. And then D, even though it's green, that's, you know, that's least impressive. So yeah, let's take a look at the big one.
Well, the big one.
Yeah.
The color's weird, isn't it?
It is. It's really vibrant. I picture this is probably from like the 80s.
Okay.
I think it's fairly vintage, this one here. And let's hold it up to the camera so everybody can see too.
So yeah, the blue color is, you know, obviously a little strange. And the other thing they did on this one was when they are small, you see them having a lot of these white spots on them.
Okay.
As they get older, those kind of end up kind of fading away or merging or something, and you don't see as many white spots on them. But in the little ones, in the younger ones, the white spots are quite obvious. And the other thing is on the smaller animals, these ridges are very spiky.
Right.
On the younger animals. We've actually caught a couple small ones. Relatively speaking, small is going to be like 127 centimeter carapace length, and maybe, you know, that would have been 500 pounds or something like that. I mean, we could almost pull it in with our arms.
Right.
But as they get older, then these spikes seem to, you know, are not
almost
as prominent.
resorb or something.
Yeah, they're not as prominent, and they get rounded off and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
So the other thing about this one is, those ridges, that's not very good.
Okay.
I mean, these are all uniform and they're hard to even see. It's just essentially looks like a mold of a dome with some ridges put up on the top. And I mean, this design, the leatherback's design. I mean, as you can see again on this, I mean, these ridges, this is a very hydrodynamically well-designed creature. Yeah.
And the whole carapace, just teardrop shaped.
Absolutely. Do you know this was called Mercury's turtle, I guess?
Really?
I think it was Mercury because he
carried winged messenger god?
Carried a lute.
Oh.
So have you ever heard the term for leatherback, a lute, L-U-T-H?
Because of the 7 strings on it?
That's
7 or 5 or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so
yeah.
we're done with the blue guy?
Yeah. So you said points off for the ridges on there.
The ridges
and the coloration.
and the coloration.
How are the proportions? Are they pretty good overall?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, the back flippers could probably be a little bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like little skinny legs.
And this one would be a female, right? Because she's got a short tail.
Well, we have no tail on this one.
No tail on that
so
one. Shoot.
we'll have to assume it's a female then.
Okay.
But you're right. So this one too looks like this would be a female. Because
Right.
that tail is barely sticking out of the back.
It does seem like in popular depictions of leatherbacks, all sea turtles really, the females are overrepresented. People almost always draw them with short tails because those are the ones that people see on the beach, right?
Right. And so we've been fortunate because we're studying animals on a foraging ground.
Right.
That we see males and females. And the male's tail it's something else. It's prehensile a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll actually kind of can wrap a little bit around your leg if you get near it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wild. Huh. No, because that's how they clasp onto the female during
Correct.
mating, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Cool. So let's see. For this one, you think it's pretty middle of the road as far as these go, or?
As far as these things go,
Pretty-
if I was just to be walking around at the wharf here in Monterey, middle of the road.
Middle of the road? Okay, we'll put it there in B, and we can move these around later if we want to. This is from the manufacturer La Remy. Sounds French, but I'm not sure. Really rare. I only found the picture that I used here for the tier list was from the eBay listing where I got this from. So
Okay.
It's a rare find right there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. Started collecting these over the past few months, and I'm.
Yeah, my colleague George Schillinger, he collects them. And
Oh, really?
Sometimes he gives them to me. And
Oh,
I've got
cool,
a couple
okay.
at my house. We've got one mounted on the boat, the Sheila B as well.
Okay, yeah. All right, who do you want to do next?
Okay, we'll do this Spot. We'll do Spot next.
Yeah, all right,
and
yeah.
like I mentioned, this is if this was an adult, that would be a heck of a lot of spots on an adult animal.
Right. So I think this one is a knockoff of the Safari Limited collection, which is kind of like the gold standard for plastic animal models. And
the flippers are nice.
Yeah.
The flippers are nice. This is, at swimming, doing its flapping, and they look like birds when they swimming
Right,
in the water.
yeah.
They look like a bird.
Almost like they're flying underwater.
Right. The head is a little narrow.
Interesting. Okay.
On this one, and because we mentioned body condition can change an animal, we won't take points off for the not very fat around the neck because it could be this just let the nesting beast or something.
And also a female, right? Short tail.
Absolutely, this is another female.
Okay.
It's can barely see it past the what's this called, the pygal process here.
Okay.
On the carapace, the pygal process, and it's barely sticking out beyond the pygal.
Okay.
Otherwise, back flippers look pretty good. Again, not much to go on here with these ridges, but it's got the ridges. It's clearly not a hard-shelled turtle.
Right. Yeah.
Not bad.
Okay. Would you put that higher or lower than the Laramie one, the big one?
Maybe one tick higher.
All right. Yeah, A tier. Not too shabby for our Safari Limited knockoff right there. Excellent. Cool. Yeah. You'll see we have another one that's the same exact mold.
Okay.
But
which one do you want me to do next?
do that one. Yeah, the one that you're holding. So
okay.
It wasn't designed as a Christmas ornament.
Okay.
It's been upcycled. I bought it on eBay. But really small little leatherback model right there.
Yeah. Let's see how many ridges this one have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it has a 7.
Yeah. That seems to be something that they usually get right, even if everything else is wrong.
Right.
The number of ridges is correct. So.
Yeah, it's got the right teardrop shape, but boy, the rest of it is it almost looks like something that's a cross between a pond turtle and a leatherback.
Right. Yeah.
It's got that really long neck coming out of there with a rounded head.
So people can see it close what we're talking about here, but ignore the ribbon on there, and then underneath too. This is something that I try to look at the ventral side as well. It's all scaly.
That's not the way it is.
Right.
That's not like that.
Yeah,
I don't get to see under there very often.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look like that. This is particularly the carapace, the plumpness of this thing. It looks like something looks like something in between a leatherback and a pond turtle.
Right.
So this one is lower than the other two.
Okay. Well, that C tier maybe. All right.
Still not bad. You get some points for effort.
Yeah. That's from Yowie Company, I guess. guess. It took some hunting around to be able to figure that out. But yeah, I figure that one's also probably pretty vintage. This was one of my favorites. But so this is the old Safari Limited version, modeled from, I think this is from 1997. And it's really hard to find nowadays.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, now this one, again, probably a female. Again, the tail's not sticking out too far. Yeah, the back flippers are pretty proportionally correct. Front flippers aren't too bad. A little pointed, more pointed than they really are, but not bad. Giant eyes in this one.
Yeah. This one's right here.
This one has big eyes. Otherwise,
and the eyes don't look like... They almost open at an interesting angle. Like, I feel like the eyes on a leatherback, it's not like the eyelids go up and down. They're almost turned to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of like on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too exaggerated on here, but on some of the videos that I've seen of them, you know, it almost looks like the eyes open this way rather than, you know, like
Yeah,
this.
I've never really paid attention to that.
Yeah.
I've got a photograph of a close-up of a leatherback's eye and face that's all over on the internet.
Oh, cool.
I see it regularly.
We could find it if we had time. Yeah.
But the carapace actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way it kind of comes all the way down like this. Yeah, this one's not bad. A lot of spots again.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I don't
painting
know
these things is always difficult. That's why I didn't paint this.
No,
that's
a good.
the
That's
bronze
good.
color paint or whatever.
I still think that's still.
Oh yeah.
Better than this one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But this one is better than the last one we just did.
Okay. So should we put that middle of the road B tier?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. And then, but also no scales on this guy, which I think also earns it extra points. Some of these, the sculptors feel compelled to just kind of sculpt scales onto them.
Oh, okay.
On otherwise really good models. Leatherbacks do not have scales when they're in their adult stage. The juveniles do, right? So like the hatchlings.
Yes, you can see scales on the hatchlings. Yes, but you're right. When they get big, it's not as obvious.
They just have that leathery skin.
You're right.
Yeah. Interesting. Unlike all other sea turtles who have visible scales. When I was at the aquarium yesterday, I brought my binoculars and I was looking at their green sea turtles, Colonia midas, and you can see those big prominent scales on the flippers and everything.
Right.
Yeah, which leatherbacks don't have. So, yeah. This guy I thought was funny.
This one is kind of funny. This looks like the one we have in the Sheila B. It's just basically stuck to the wall there.
So you can't see the ventral side.
No, you can't.
That made me laugh.
So this is I don't get it. This looks similar to what the ventral side will look like.
Oh, it's got those plates like that?
Yes, it does have plates like
really?
that.
Huh.
Yep.
I've never actually seen that in a photo.
It's the only time I've ever seen underneath is when we have one for necropsy.
Really? Interesting.
These flippers are way too small. And that carapace is too flattened out.
Right, yeah.
And those flippers are little. This is I mean, you can see it's supposed to be a leatherback.
Sure, yeah, with the ridges on its carapace.
Exactly,
yeah.
got the ridges, got all that, but otherwise, not that. Little extra points for the underneath.
All right,
the
cool.
plastron.
So we put that, would you say middle of the road or a little bit lower?
Maybe a little lower. Yeah, that might be the lowest of all of them.
Okay, yeah, we'll put that D tier right now.
Actually, this looks better underneath this one, the next one.
Yeah,
that's
really
more like
the,
it. Yeah.
You know, the paint scheme right there.
Yeah, that definitely looks
those streaks
more
like
like
that classic leatherback counter shading.
And this one also has big eyes, but I like the flippers. They did the flippers well, but they got the scales.
Right. Yeah.
The ridges look pretty good on this. They're not just you know.
This is the same sculpt as this one here. It's just painted differently.
Okay. Is this one?
This one here.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So that was the Safari Limited knockoff, and the one in your left hand, that's the like the original, high quality.
But the color looks better. Not so many spots. I like the hind flippers look pretty good, even with the little bit of bone you can see there. That
you can almost see the phalanges inside.
Yeah,
flippers,
exactly right, exactly right. So that looks pretty good. Another female. Yeah, the carapace looks. A lot of things on this one are really good. With the only exception is the scales.
All right, cool.
So this is actually, I call this one. This one gets up there pretty high.
All right, A tier or S tier? You think?
I put this one. I mean, the eyes are a little big, but otherwise, I like this one. I think it's my favorite so far.
Put it next to it.
Giant reptiles begin to emerge.
And it's the last one. Got a little more muted on the dots,
Nice.
spots. That's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
This one's not bad either. So this one's in good body, well, sort of good body condition. Very plump carapace.
Right.
Needs a little meat on the shoulders and the neck. So compared to the one before, I would put this one level below the one we had
All
before.
right, yeah. That's funny because this is when I, designed this out. This is kind of the same arrangement.
Oh, is that what that's?
I'm very pleased right now.
We've come up with the same answers. Okay, good.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this beforehand or anything.
No, we
Yeah.
didn't. I promise.
I've never
No
done anything
conspiring
like this
here.
before.
Yeah. First tier list. Thank you, Scott.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I brought that so you could examine the details as well.
Indeed.
Yeah. I do like that they all seem to try and get the tome right, like those, the grasping things that they have on the rostrum. These right here, everybody tried to sculpt those in. It seemed like, which points to all of them for that.
Huh? I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, some of them did. This one just.
Oh, that one doesn't have it. Oh shoot.
No. Well, let me see here. Look closer.
Yeah, this should be the same sculpt. So. Yeah, it's.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah,
I see
it's
it. I
there.
see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Anyway, cool.
Pretty good.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So, if you were to consult an artist in producing a leatherback, what would be like your dream leatherback model? What would it be doing? What pose would it be in? What would you want to emphasize that you feel like some people got wrong with some of these? So you got hired. They said, Scott, we're going to give you $1 million to make the world's best plastic leatherback model. What features would you include? How would you make it different from some of these?
Well, I can say most of the time you see them when people would see them, they'd come up the surface and they're taking a breath. It doesn't look very good.
No.
You see them on the beach and they're laboring around.
Yeah.
Turtle out of water. It's when they're swimming is really when you get you get this impression of this kind of majesty almost.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I've had a few situations where we've released them in the water and they did, this one animal did a couple strokes, with its flippers and just these really forceful, purposeful strokes. Two of them, and then just went straight and then turned
Just banked.
180 degrees and went along our boat the other direction, the opposite direction we were going. And I don't get to see that very often.
Right.
So yeah, I would think if I was to advise somebody, it would be trying to capture that swimming action again when it looks like they're flying like a bird.
Right.
And doing that, and of course, the front flippers are really what it's all about.
Right.
And that's where all the power is. So yeah, that would be emphasizing that.
That's a good answer. Okay.
I worked with a group once, collaborated with a group once in out of Scotts Valley called Tanzel.
Okay.
And they created a what was it? Augmented reality. You heard of this?
Yeah.
Augmented reality leatherback turtle.
Really?
And we did a kind of a show like what we're doing here for folks, and they had this. I worked with them for a long time doing exactly kind of the scenario that you just painted here, as they worked to create this augmented reality leatherback turtle.
This wasn't Mac, was it?
I don't know if they ever had a name for it.
Okay. Let me pull it up and I'll see if it's.
And it was pretty neat. They had it when we did the thing for the online presentation. It was during the COVID. It was kind of a little awkward, but they had this augmented reality in the room with it, and I'm standing there with this leatherback that's floating around in the room with a bunch of jellyfish around us. It was amazing. It was very cool, and I haven't had interaction with those folks at Tanzel for a while, but I saw that and I thought, wow, this would solve a problem for us in that, like I say, most people never get to see this animal, right? Particularly, swimming around in its environment.
This isn't it here, is it?
I don't know if that is. I don't think so, but that looks pretty good.
Oh, it's frozen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would love to see that augmented reality thing be at some kind of a display at the Sanctuary Exploration Center or the Monterey Bay Aquarium or something like that.
Sure.
Where people could get an idea about the size and
Right.
again,
Yeah.
the impressive size, particularly of this animal. Again, you're not going to see it unless you're super lucky on a whale watch boat. And
Yep.
I've had even the whale watch folks tell me it's like, yeah, they're really popular at the beginning when we first see one, everybody wants to see it and so forth. But what's it doing? It's just coming up for a breath of air, right?
What more do you
And
want?
usually people after about 10 minutes are like, okay, when are we going to go see some whales?
Man, I got to go on a whale watching trip out to the Fairlawns at the beginning of November, and I wanted nothing more than to see a leatherback.
Sure.
Holy cow!
Sure.
I got kind of tired of the whales after a while.
Sure, I
Yeah.
get it. But
Yeah.
they're not terribly charismatic compared
Right.
to like a humpback whale that's breaching or something
Right?
like
Yeah,
that.
they're not
right.
flying out of the water. Or
Right,
anything
exactly.
Like that,
Not
yeah.
doing that.
And they're so low profile too. Like you barely see the head and the top of the carapace come up.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So this augmented reality, I think that would be a way to bring
Right.
the leatherback to the people, since the people can't go to the leatherback.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a video that I show here on Twitch all the time when we're talking about leatherbacks. Here we go. It's this right here. I show people this. And
That's
they go,
a wild.
They go, that's not real. That's AI or something. Like, no,
Yeah.
this is a real
Yeah,
animal.
yeah.
And I love the angle here because it just shows off how big this creature is. So that's a nesting female. I'm assuming this is somewhere in the Atlantic, right?
I don't know. I for some reason I thought that was somewhere in Asia, but I don't know. I can't see the thing well enough to see the folks behind there. But that's a very unusual thing to have
Right.
when seen in the
During the
daylight.
day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes at nesting beaches. Sometimes we get the dawn turtle.
Right.
You're ready to
She's
go
a little
home
bit
and
late,
go to
yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
You've been on the beach all night, and then one of them pulls up at dawn,
Uh-huh.
and you get out there for longer.
Just nuts.
But that's not even dawn. That is
yeah,
like in the
broad
middle
daylight.
of the day. Yeah.
Do they get bigger in the Atlantic than they do in the Pacific?
Well, that's a good question. So there are multiple populations, if
Yeah,
you will.
Uh-huh.
7. Just recently, an 8th one.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. They got some skin tissue samples from Indonesia,
Okay.
particularly over in Java.
Uh-huh.
That part of Indonesia. Indonesia's a giant
Yeah,
country.
of course, yeah. Thousands of islands.
Yeah, thousands of islands and
Yeah.
3 time zones or 4,
Yeah.
just like the United States. And yeah, it turns out the haplotypes that were found there were somewhat unique and different from the ones in the Western Pacific or the Indian Ocean. So they're saying, okay, we have another
Right.
stock, you will, or another population based on its DNA.
Uh-huh.
So back to your question, the ones in the Atlantic are big.
Mm-hmm.
The ones in the Pacific are big.
Right.
They're both the Western Pacific, at least.
Yeah.
The Eastern Pacific population, which is the animals that
They nest in Costa Rica and Mexico. Yeah, yeah.
nest in Costa Rica and Mexico, and then they
Uh-huh.
use foraging grounds off of Peru,
Uh-huh.
they're a little smaller.
Okay.
And some of the thoughts of the reason why is because they are subjected to regular occurrences of El Niños and things like that may regulate or
Oh.
they may get only to a certain size because of some of the resources
Gotcha.
being limited at
There's
certain
some constraints
certain
on them in
times.
terms of food.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Huh.
And then others around the world. I mean, I couldn't say how big some of the other ones are. I've only seen Atlantic,
Uh-huh.
Western Pacific, and Eastern Pacific, and I haven't seen any of the ones in Africa or
Uh-huh.
or in the Indian Ocean, for
Right.
example. Haven't seen those, so I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't know. But yeah, there is variation in size depending on where it is you're
Right, yeah.
making your living.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Do you suspect that at some point they might speciate? If all these populations survive, if we're successful in not driving them into extinction, if we can keep them around, is there... This might be a question for more of a geneticist, but...
This is a question for Peter Dutton.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to call him up, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know is the
Yeah.
answer to your question. But
Uh-huh.
I think what Peter would tell you is if you, as you go further into the genome and you're looking at different parts of the
Mhm.
the genome, you might find more structure there than we appreciate right now.
Gotcha.
Like I say, right now they are a stock is identified, or a population is determined based on its mitochondrial DNA and the sharing of those haplotypes. But I don't know in terms of being able to speciate out further.
Yeah.
They are considered, in terms of their genetic genetic structure.
Sure.
They are the least diverse of all the turtles.
Right, yeah. So that's the story that I've heard. It seems like maybe there was a big population bottleneck around the last ice age. And there may have been like a refugium somewhere in the Indian Ocean, and they kind of spread out from there across the world after the ice retreated, and that's our modern leatherbacks. That's where they come from.
Right, and that's a really amazing story. Peter could give you more details on that, but essentially, there was the ice age created a refugia in the what's known as the Coral Triangle region.
Right.
So it's actually like Solomon Islands, Philippines, Indonesia, that part of the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
And that's all there was.
Right.
And after the ice age, then they radiated out again from that spot and then recolonized the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean in addition to the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
But right, there's a bottleneck there, and so there's not a tremendous amount of genetic diversity compared to what we consider the more modern turtles. Right. Which are the hard-shell turtles, green
the
turtles.
Cheloniids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So all 6 of the other guys on my shirt except for the leatherback. That's something that I'm interested in talking about with other paleontologists right now who work on fossil turtles is how different are leatherbacks? How far back did they actually diverge? Because there's a bunch of conflicting opinions about this right now. We know so little about them. Leatherbacks are so different from all other sea turtles nowadays. How closely related are they really? That's something I'm going to be excited to explore over 2026. So,
I look forward to hearing more about this
yeah,
too.
yeah. We've got probably about another 25 minutes before maybe you have to take off.
Okay.
You said the meter's running for your car, right?
Correct. I've got it on a meter. I got another half hour to go.
Perfect. All right. I want to get into talking a little bit about leatherback conservation because this is something that you're really passionate about. You've done a lot of work on. First off, how is the Pacific population doing right now? So this population that you say they nest in the Solomon Islands, and in that part of the world they swim all the way across to off the coast of California and Oregon and Washington. A lot of your work has been on surveying these animals. First of all, how do you do that? And what have you found? What's the overall trend?
Yeah, so leatherbacks are, like you mentioned before, they're pretty cryptic. They don't cause a lot of attention to themselves when they come up to surface. They're not as easy to find as a whale. They're giant turtle. Yeah. But still, it's a small thing to find out in the ocean.
Vast ocean, yeah.
Yeah. And so using boats to find them is not a very productive way to go. So we use airplanes. Right. And so my wife actually leads the airplane component of the whole project. And we do line transect surveys to determine the abundance and density of turtles. And then we use the plane to find the animals so that we can subsequently capture them and put tags on them.
Right. So she's up in the plane and she's calling to you over the radio saying, "You've got a turtle over here 6,000 meters away."
You've got a turtle like 50 meters on your left.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's really that because when you're on a boat,
they could be that close and you can't see them.
That's right. I mean, because like you say, they're just when you're out at sea and you're looking for them, you're just looking for an area where there's some shoaling,
right? Like
some waves are breaking out, like tiny wavelets are breaking on something where they shouldn't be breaking because there's an animal there.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe you're looking for the head, but that's all you're going to get to see. But from a plane, you can see them much better because you're looking down, and you can see them down to, if they dive, the first meter. So from the surface down to a meter, you can see them.
Right.
And we've been doing that. Karen started collecting that kind of data in the early 1990s because she was doing surveys for harbor porpoise, not for leatherbacks.
Right.
And said, would anybody be interested in this other sighting data? And Scott Eckert at that time was pretty well
whom you've worked with,
one of the pioneers here. He said, that would be valuable. Hold on to that. So we now have a data set that spans over 30 years.
That's tremendous.
Yeah,
Wow.
we've been, of course, replicating the surveys and so forth over that time, and we've seen an 80% decline at the foraging ground here in California
Just
in the last 30 years.
so in 3 decades, 80% population decline.
Correct. At the foraging ground. Now, people would say potentially, well, and it's a fair question to ask, like, well, how do you know they just didn't go feed somewhere else because there's nothing here? Now, if we look at some of the other data, we don't see any decline with the jellies like that. We see a lot of variability from one year to the next, but not a trend and decline of jellies.
So it's not like their food is disappearing.
No.
There's something else happening.
And if we go to the nesting beach, where we have colleagues over there that have been studying
Right.
the beach, they came up with a 80% decline in 30 years at the nesting beach.
Right.
I understand they're just about ready to publish another paper about that shows that since that data set ended around 2011 or 2013, that since that time they're just seeing it flat. So, which is good.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to stop going down first.
Right, yeah.
And so that it's maybe flat right now, and
Uh-huh.
and maybe hopefully someday we'll see it going up again. But
Right.
it hasn't gotten anything back. It's still depleted by 80% over that time.
Right.
So that's not good.
Uh-huh.
And that's how we determine these things. We here on the foraging ground, we do line transect surveys.
Yeah.
At the nesting beach, they count females
Uh-huh.
at the beach.
Right. What do you think is driving that decline? Because I know that's kind of a mystery, but what's your hunch about this?
I say I started my career working on tuna seiners.
Right.
Okay, and they were catching dolphins. They caught a lot of other things too out there, including turtles.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very steep decline in a short period of time
Right.
for an animal that has otherwise been on the planet for nearly 80 million years.
Right.
And fishing bycatch is probably the number one thing. I mean,
Right.
there's always concern at the nesting beach because they're very vulnerable at those places. You have to have protections there for the eggs and the adult animals themselves.
Right.
And many places, and if not most places where leatherback turtles are nesting, the primary areas, they are protected. In areas, leatherbacks are unique that if they lay 10 clutches of eggs, they won't put all 10 clutches on the same beach.
Right.
They'll
put
put
their
a
eggs in
couple
other baskets.
and
Yeah.
that's exactly like it's
Sure.
like hedging your bet. And what that over the years, millions of years,
Yeah.
what that has done is that if for some reason some catastrophe would happen at the primary nesting beach, there's
Sure.
a couple others in these other places. If
Yeah.
if they work, they work.
Yeah.
But that behavior also subjects those animals that don't nest at the primary nesting beach to potentially be eaten, killed themselves, or their eggs going to be poached.
Yeah.
So right now in the Western Pacific, which is the population we've been talking about, we haven't been talking about the Eastern one,
Yeah.
which is even worse condition in terms of its population than the Western Pacific.
Uh-huh.
There are all these tiny nesting beaches, and okay, that's nice. That's nice because it does provide a kind of a hedge
Sure.
for any kind of natural problem, whether it be a tsunami that would wipe out the beach, or
Yeah.
for whatever reason the beach isn't working out anymore, that you've got this hedge. But the backside, the dark side of that is that, trying to provide those protections
Right.
across the whole area that they might nest.
Uh-huh.
And we're talking about Papua New Guinea and Indonesia, Solomon Islands, those places. They have very weak central governments. So really all the conservation happens at the village level.
Right.
And so you got to be able to get to that village level, encourage the conservation and so forth with leatherbacks, and also provide them with some idea of an incentive to do so.
Right.
And that might be providing access to healthcare or education, or helping them get their goods to market and things like that, whatever they happen to be growing and so forth. And so we have some colleagues over in Indonesia at the State University of Papua that are doing just that. They're linking socioeconomic development with leatherback conservation, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's the only way it's going to work, because again, trying to get folks that are really struggling one day to the
Right.
next just to feed themselves
To
have
care about an animal like this.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a big ask. So that, I think that's really important, that they have that kind of connection there.
So the idea is basically if you can improve people's lives so that they're not so desperate, then they can have the wherewithal to actually conserve these animals.
Conserve the animals. They have, the time and energy to do that.
Yeah.
I would go over there to primarily put transmitters on the animals, and I'd be interested to know, like, over a 2-week period, how many are here. Could we do a patrol all night long for 2 weeks and maintain that for 2 weeks? It's hard when you're in a place where during the daytime you're out in your garden trying to feed yourself, or you're out hunting, to think, let's stay up all night.
To go watch over turtles.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Before we run out of time here, I want to make sure that we go over what folks at home can do if they really want to help protect these animals and ensure that they make it into the next century. What can folks at home do? How can they make a difference?
Well, I mean, obviously, it would be nice to have something like equivalent to the International Whaling Commission for leatherbacks, where you had all these nations working together, with a common goal in mind, realizing that protections only afforded to the animal in one part of their geographic range aren't really going to do anything if you don't have those protections in other places where the animals spend part of their lives.
Because they're crossing entire ocean basins, they're nesting over here, they're feeding off a different continent,
and I don't see that happening with turtles, like it was done with whales. So what people can do is be very careful about how they consume seafood, because again, this is the number one threat to leatherbacks is fishery bycatch. And it's not that, again, people are not necessarily trying to catch this animal. They don't want to catch them. They're after things like swordfish and tuna and things like that, and they get caught. Leatherbacks do on long lines and gill nets and things like that. So what people can do is be very conscious seafood consumers. And I mean, sometimes it's tempting to make it a complicated message about check this, check that, the other thing. I mean, you can use one of those seafood watch things.
Right, and we have a command for that in the chat right now if somebody wants to pull that up. And Claire just did. Excellent.
Like the Monterey Bay Aquarium's got one, and it's really good. You'll find swordfish on there, and it says yellow is proceed with caution, which is U.S. caught swordfish.
Right.
And then red is swordfish that's caught somewhere outside of the United States. And the reason for that is that the United States has things like the Endangered Species Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act. We've got some regulations. I've told people that the safest place for a leatherback to be is
in U.S. waters?
In U.S. waters, off the coast of California. It's probably the best place they can be, but they can't obviously spend their whole life there.
Right.
They got to go back to the beaches and nest. So if you're not uncertain about a product, just buy U.S. caught seafood.
There you go.
And it's not to necessarily disrespect everybody else.
No, but
but in this case, we know we have some regulations and safeguards in place to try to make sure that what you're eating comes with a side dish of the Endangered Species Act rather than a side dish of turtle.
Right.
Okay?
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Excellent. I've got a meeting with the Monterey Bay Aquarium folks tomorrow about helping promote their Seafood Watch program, so I'm really excited about that. That'll be something we'll be talking about a lot over the next year, chat. So, stay tuned for that. What are some other things like, here in California along the coast, we've got a plastic bag ban, and that's a good thing, and that's not necessarily that's not by itself going to save the leatherback turtle, but it's a piece of the puzzle there, right?
It's a piece of the puzzle and something that people can do, and it pays off for other things besides leatherback turtles, clearly. And it's not to say that, even though I gave you that example of the animal that approached the bag, the green turtle, and didn't take it. We know from science literature and so forth about the incidence of plastic being in the GI tract of leatherback turtles.
Right.
And if you've ever seen the figure, it's almost like exponential the way as soon as plastics are on the scene, that while a lot of it ends up in the GI tract of these animals, it doesn't mean that they all died from that.
Right, but it can't be good for them.
No.
Yeah.
But it's in there. And so, yes, keeping the garbage out of the water is really important, and that's something you can do yourself just on a afternoon if you walk along a beach and decide I'll take a bag with you and pick up a lot of the garbage.
And I know it sounds corny too, but just bringing a reusable bag to the grocery store is something. It's not nothing, you know? And that's, every little bit helps. That's something that I want to do in the next couple months too, is screen print some leatherback designs on some tote bags and then sell those online as a fundraiser for leatherback conservation.
Sure,
so
that's a good.
I want to
idea.
talk to you about who would be some of the best recipients of those funds, but we'll do that off camera later. Yeah, and then what else can people? I mean, leatherbacks are a global creature. They're a transboundary species, like you were saying. So climate change is also affecting them too. Can we talk about that a little bit? Like,
Yeah, so, okay, so, I mean, it's always, for me, I'm always trying to put this into context. And I've got an animal that's been around 80 million years and
Right.
has been through some climate change things, like we talked about
ones.
the Ice Age and things like that.
Yeah.
So, clearly, they have some tricks to get around it. Like I said, not putting all your eggs in one basket. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But part of that was also a situation where the numbers themselves were overwhelming. And so it allows these probability things to be viable. Like, hey, if you've got a population of 10,000, you lose a 2,000 or something over here, it's not a problem because the rest is still going. Now the population is much less than it was. And so that doesn't work as well as it did in the past in terms of responding to climate change. And again, that response happens over hundreds, thousands of years.
Yep. So like the climate change that we're experiencing right now is happening way more quickly than that. And that's something that I talk about all the time as a paleontologist is we talk about mass extinctions because of climate change. It's over a really long period of time. It's not over 2 centuries or whatever, like what's happening now.
So some of the beaches will end up disappearing, but that's happened before.
Yeah.
There'll be other beaches that they end up using. We've seen this. It's kind of a rerun.
Yeah.
But one thing that's a little concerning, because we don't know enough about how the true outcome will be, is that sea turtles have what's known as temperature-dependent sex determination. So an egg is in the sand. It's being incubated there for, I can't remember how many days.
It's like
about 60 days. Thank you.
Yeah.
About 58 to 60 days
Yeah.
that they're incubated. And if the temperature in that chamber is below a certain temperature, it's more likely that the hatchlings are going to be male.
Right.
Above that temperature threshold, they become female. This is what temperature-dependent sex determination is. Of course, you go higher than that, they just become cooked eggs in the sand.
Right. Yeah.
So there is concern, and it has been shown, particularly with some green turtle populations
Down in Australia, right?
Australia, off Rain Island.
We were watching a video about this the other week. Yeah.
Correct. That, concerned that they will feminize the population,
Right.
and there will obviously be problems if there aren't enough males around. So that is definitely something that, climate change, if it's going to get warmer, can be a problem. And like I said, there'll be other issues like
Ocean currents
more
changing.
ocean currents changing, more rain, less rain in certain places. Some of it hard to predict, exactly. But again, if the population were healthy and strong, I wouldn't worry about any of that because we've already been there, done that.
Okay, that makes sense. So the number one thing that people can do is be careful about their seafood choices.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think about the last 30 years or 40, how much more activity there is in the oceans than there used to be. And, our population is still growing and there's a tremendous demand. And there are more rich people around there used to be too, in terms of, eclectic tastes and want what they want. And, money isn't a problem. Just get it to me. And someone's always willing to go out and get it because that's a livelihood. So there's a lot more hands in the pie, or hands in the pot, if you will, of the ocean. And so it's, in some ways, shouldn't be a surprise to us to see a decline like that coincide with this rapid, this intensification of the industrialization of the oceans. And you're only limited by your imagination when you try to think about all the different ways people extract things out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And of course, now we're looking at the ocean to not only provide our, some of our dietary needs, but we're looking at it to provide some of our energy going forward.
Right.
We're talking about large-scale aquaculture enterprises in the ocean. I mean, just
People are making noises about undersea mining and stuff
all
like that
kinds
too.
of things.
Yeah.
And so that all that stuff is going to have an impact.
Yeah, yeah. Here, let's see if the lighting has changed enough. Let's pull this curtain to the side if you can grab that.
Yeah.
Let's see if that is... We're here in Monterey, California right now. We should be able to see Monterey Bay right behind us. Oh, it's still pretty much all washed out. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. So here in Monterey Bay, we have an excellent example where, the sardine fishery absolutely collapsed.
Yes.
Yes. In the middle of the 20th century, just
right.
from overfishing, and that's...
Well, some of it was overfishing, but some of it was environmental too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the ocean it doesn't stay the same. It's highly variable.
Yeah.
And there are cycles, essentially, where sometimes sardines are up and other times anchovies are up.
Right.
And so it's certainly overfishing is going to play a role and exacerbate those kinds of things. But they're not that in that particular case. That's not totally all overfishing.
Interesting. So there may have been a natural population decline anyway, and then the overfishing is just a one-two punch.
Correct. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And I feel like so many things with leatherbacks are like that too, where you've got them being caught as bycatch, and you have beach development, and you have plastic waste, and all these other things are all adding up in order to send these animals into decline, and it really is a multifaceted problem.
It really is, and it's a hard nut to crack, because if you look at the whole Pacific Ocean and all the different nations and cultures all around the Pacific Ocean, there's a lot of differences in terms of how people perceive or how people use the resource.
Right.
And so, I mean, just to make it easy, I often will say something like, well, one man's bycatch is another man's lunch.
Right.
So there are cultures around the Pacific that would potentially catch a leatherback turtle and think, yeah, let's eat it. Other places it would consider like, ew, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I've been with some people that actually engaged in an active hunt on the water for leatherbacks. It was amazing.
This is like the subsistence thing you were talking about, right? Where
this was these folks. This is a ritualistic thing more.
Yeah. Okay.
So these folks say that they are descendants themselves of leatherbacks.
Right.
I went out with them on a small panga, no fancy electronics, no GPS, nothing, just a panga.
Yeah.
And I think that what they've done is it's an area that has extreme tidal fluctuations. So I think they're tuned into the tides, and they know when the tide is at a certain level that the leatherbacks might be a little closer. But we go out on their boat, and I wanted to introduce suction cup tagging to them, because I knew it would be kind of similar looking to harpooning a turtle, which is what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they found one. We found a couple. We found them. And the first time we found one,
jeez,
it was very ritualistic. He was calling out in his language, not Indonesian language, but the local language of that island.
There's thousands of languages in Indonesia.
Yeah. And leatherback, give yourself to us. We are starving. We need you, and so forth and so on. And then he saw one, and he went down to the bow of the boat and started scooping the water and drinking it. And he looked back at me. I had my hat on. He said, "Mr. Scott, take all your hat off." Like, disrespect. And of course, I'm naked up here, so it's Indonesia. I'm like getting fried, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it was very highly ritualistic, and we went in later on, and we didn't obviously harpoon anything, but I wanted to try the suction cup tag. But they had some leatherback meat on the beach from a previous hunt. Oh my God, the smell! It was just terrible, and it's hard for me to understand. Like, really, you're gonna eat that?
It's so oily. I have friends who work with leatherback specimens in museum collections and stuff like that, and like even getting the domestic beetles to eat them to clean the skeleton, it's a tall order, because they just don't want to do it. These are beetles that will eat anything, and they're like, no, leatherback, no.
Yeah.
So
But again, it's a big world, and there's different ideas and perspectives and tastes, and so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But that's why I think the best chance for them to be surviving is for people to, like, again, modify their own behaviors a little bit in terms of how they eat seafood, and we'll just keep trying to talk to the others about, hey, could you put an observer on your boat, so we can get some data and figure out how we can solve this problem. Could you potentially, do things differently so you don't catch so many leatherback turtles? I think that's the only way it's gonna work in terms of the fishery bycatch threat to the population.
Right. Yeah. And finally, before I let you go, because I know you've got to go check on your car.
Yeah.
I want to know what I can do over the next year, and I feel like the most impactful thing that I can contribute is just trying to get the word out about these animals. You know, because I feel like if more people are aware of these creatures, more people will care about them, and nothing will change until more people care about these animals. And they're just absolutely remarkable, superlative creatures. I feel like if people are shown leatherback turtles, they'll fall in love with them in the same way that I have. So,
yeah, I agree. You play a extremely crucial role as any educator to get the information from folks like myself or other research institutes, whatever, to the public at large. And really, that's the most. And I've written papers, science papers.
Yeah, some of them are in here in the Leatherbacks volume.
We write them to ourselves, and we write them to our colleagues because nobody else really reads them, right?
Yeah.
But that's where you play such a crucial role, is to get the information out to a much wider audience, and an audience that's likely to be more proactive as well. So thank you. Thank you. And leatherback turtles need as much attention as they can possibly get if we're going to be able to have them in the future. Yeah. So thank you.
We're at least lucky in the sense that they're extremely charismatic. So you just show this to people and it sells itself. They're just remarkable creatures, and I'm happy to help get the word out about them. So anyway, thank you so much, Scott.
You're very welcome. Thank you.